Hey everyone. A week has gone by since the Democratic debate. And the question I'm looking at today is, what have we learned in a week? What can we take out of the Democratic debate now that all the dust is settled? All the pundits have weighed in. We've heard from the focus groups. Saturday Night Live has spoken. What do we now know? Well, first of all, Jim Webb knows that when he's in a Democratic debate, he's a fish out of water. He's withdrawn from the race. He's threatening to run as an independent, but I really doubt that he's going to risk time, energy, money, and his reputation in a futile third-party bid. So I think we've probably seen the last of Jim Webb. Lincoln Chafee turned in a very bad performance, which was punctuated by Wolf Blitzer asking him if he was going to embarrass himself by continuing to stay in the race. Not sure Wolf should have said that, but it tells you something about where Lincoln Chafee stands. And Martin O'Malley is probably going to stay in the race and see if he can muster a little bit better effort in the second primary. So what about Bernie? It's interesting. After my blog last week, which broke down why Bernie lost the debate, and my premise was that he had lost the debate, I got a lot of negative response from people, particularly Bernie supporters, saying, "What do you mean? You didn't see the focus groups. He didn't lose the debate. I saw on MSNBC that they thought he was the." So a week has gone by, and Bernie lost the debate. It's clear that Hillary has solidified her position. It's clear to everybody a week later that Bernie did not turn in the performance that he would have liked. Saturday Night Live has weighed in, and its verdict was that Bernie was somewhat over the top, and then he needs to polish his act a little bit before he takes it to a national audience. And what did I say in my blog last week? I said, first of all, that when he introduced himself, he didn't humanize himself enough. What do we hear out of the Bernie camp? Well, he's gone to smaller group events. He's meeting people in their homes. He's not just giving his standard stump speech anymore. There's more back and forth. He's being more conversational. Okay, I'm glad Bernie learned that lesson. What did I say last week? If Bernie is going to call himself a democratic socialist, he ought to be able to define in some clear, succinct way what that means. Well, what do we hear from the Bernie camp? He's getting ready to present a major speech telling us what democratic socialism is. Now, I don't even agree with that approach. I don't need a speech from Bernie. What I need are 5 good sentences defining democratic socialism. If you're not going to call yourself a progressive Democrat, which is what I think Bernie really is, if you're going to call yourself something relatively exotic to the American people, it's incumbent upon you to be able to define what it is clearly and not leave everybody guessing. So I think he's taken a half step in that direction. My third criticism was that he absurdly gave Hillary a pass on the email controversy. Now, in the past week, many people, the latest was Tavis Smiley on his show, asked Bernie, wasn't it a mistake that you gave Hillary this get-out-of-jail-free pass on the email controversy? Well, now that he's done it, Bernie has to defend what he did. He can't take it back. That's part of the problem with the position that he took during the debate. But by way of sort of expanding my own view about this, let me tell you a story from 2008. Back in 2008, after Obama had won the Iowa caucuses and Hillary had come back in New Hampshire, the South Carolina primary was looming. And the importance of the South Carolina primary was that it was the first primary with a significant African American electorate. So it was the first test of what Obama's strength would be in the African American community. And most people have forgotten at this point, but at that juncture in the primary season, many people doubted that Obama could capture the African American vote. Why? Well, because he was running against the Clinton legacy. Bill Clinton was, after all, the first honorary black president. He had a very faithful following in the black community. And the black community also wondered whether they should put their support behind a guy, Barack Obama, who might not be able to go the distance. Why not go with the surer thing, Hillary? So they were both battling it out in South Carolina. And that Tuesday, we saw the South Carolina debate. And for my money, it was one of the more remarkable debates I've ever seen. First of all, it was a Donnybrook. It was a brawl between Clinton and Obama. Second of all, you actually saw Barack Obama get mad. You almost never see Obama get angry. But let's go back and take a look at some of the exchanges in the South Carolina debate. First, Hillary said to Barack, "You know, Senator Obama, it's very difficult having a straight-up debate with you because you never take responsibility for any vote, and that has been a pattern." And that drew both cheers and jeers. Obama, in response, then said that she was conducting the kind of negative politics that everybody had begun to hate in the political system, and pointed out that she and Bill comb my 4,000 votes in Illinois, choose one, try to present it in the worst possible light. And then he added that he had tried to maintain a certain credibility in the race. So these two weren't holding back toward one another. And here's the most famous, perhaps, exchange from that debate. At one point, they were each talking about their liberal, progressive, democratic bona fides. And Obama turned to Hillary and said, "While I was working on the streets, watching those folks see their jobs shift overseas, working as a community organizer," he meant, "you were a corporate lawyer sitting on the board at Walmart." Pretty strong stuff. Hillary then responded, "I was fighting against those ideas when you were practicing law and representing your contributor Resco in his slum landlord business in inner city Chicago." Now, some things never change, and this was a CNN debate moderated by Wolf Blitzer. There's nothing that CNN likes more than to see two candidates fight with one another. So we go back 8 years, 7 years. Here's Wolf. "Senator Clinton made a serious allegation that you worked for a slumlord, and I wonder if you want to respond." Please respond. Obama, "I'm happy to respond. Here's what happened. I was an associate at a law firm that represented a church group that had partnered with this individual to do a project. And I did about 5 hours worth of work on this joint project." That's what she's referring to. Now, my point in bringing these exchanges up really isn't about the details. It doesn't make any difference what they were fighting about. It's that they were fighting. And my point is this. Barack Obama was a huge winner after that debate, not because he out-talked Hillary, not because he was rhetorically better necessarily. It was simply seeing the fight in him that galvanized his supporters and let those watching in general, and the African American community in particular, know that he was in it to win it, that he wasn't just messing around. This was not a symbolic candidacy. And that was extremely important. And in terms of his support from the African American community, he never looked back after that. And I bring this up because it is a great example of the importance of fighting. As that 19th century proverb goes, politics ain't beanbag. And if you want to win any nomination, but particularly a nomination for President of the United States, you have to fight. And if Bernie Sanders thinks that he can get up on stage and have a love-in with Hillary Clinton, and that people will think he's such a nice guy, we have to give him the nomination, it's not going to happen. He has to be willing to go up in front of the American people and draw contrasts between his positions and Hillary's positions. Not negative, mean-spirited, disingenuous comparisons, but real comparisons. Just as an example, it's not that important to me whether one candidate or the other supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership or not. Truth of it is, I support the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Bernie Sanders doesn't, and now Hillary Clinton doesn't. What is important to me is if I think that whatever position they take is authentic, whether it's real, whether it's genuine or just posturing for the primary season. And when Hillary Clinton is part of the group that draws up the TPP, and when she makes 45 statements in support of the TPP, among them that it's the gold standard of trade bills, and then suddenly in the 11th hour reverses herself, she loses points for me, not on policy, but on character. So 1 week after the debate, I think Bernie has to decide whether he really wants to fight for this nomination, whether he wants to get his hands dirty. And that may mean some negative back and forth between himself and Hillary. Because I'm loath to give a campaign contribution to a candidate who I don't think is working hard to win. If he gets on stage and all he can do is make nice with Hillary, that's not good enough. So that was a pretty consequential week, I thought. Another debate coming up. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching.